from 39 closings to over 550 closings this year in this marketplace. Welcome back to another episode of All or Nothing in Real Estate. I'm your host, Matt Smith, the founder of All or Nothing in Real Estate. Just as a reminder, this podcast is a movement to give back to this amazing industry that's given so much to me and my family. Today, we've got a very special episode. We've got a special guest that's going to break down his journey on how he went from 39 closings to over 550 closings this year in this marketplace. So without further ado, we have Stephen Myers. What's up, Steve?
Hey, what's going on, man? Appreciate it.
Yeah, man. We've been kind of sort of business partners for a while now in this cool thing called eXp Realty, and met at different networking things. And it's been awesome for me to witness your growth and your journey. And yeah, I'm excited to dive into it today.
Yeah, I always appreciate your support along the way, because I think, we were one of the first people I talked to when I just started a team. So it's crazy how life goes.
It is, man. It's crazy. You surround yourself with the right people, you put in a little work ethic. It's crazy what can happen, right?
Exactly. Yeah. 100%.
Dude, so for people to understand you a little bit, just give us a quick background on Steve. Who's Steve? What's his team like? Where's he operate out of? What's his business look like today?
Yeah. So I'm, been a real estate agent since 2018. I'm in Wichita, Kansas. I was born and raised here, left a while after college, came back. And then, just kind of got tired of the corporate world. So I left the corporate world in 2018 to start the real estate journey, essentially. Before that, I was an investor and a flipper. So it's always had a draw into the real estate world. And ever since then, I mean, I worked with, jeez, okay. When I worked started in the corporate world, or was in the corporate world, I took a lot of director of management jobs. So I always had like kind of a leadership, track in my life. So the team lead role kind of was always attractive to me from the beginning.
Okay.
Kind of classified myself as a team before I was even, was just a solo agent, and just kind of kept on that journey. So
I love it, man. And just a few short years ago, you started your team back when the pandemic started. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah. And so since then, on that journey from starting a team during the pandemic to today, you guys are going to close how many units this year?
550 plus.
550, man. That's awesome. Congratulations. That's awesome to see that growth during this challenging and changing market. So I love it.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah. It's definitely been a journey to get to 550, I know. A lot of ups and downs along the way. So
yeah, well, dude, we'll jump into those. I think a lot of people like to hear the real. It's one of the things I love bringing to the industry, is that I don't believe in theory. I believe in proven. And people like yourself that have actually went through it will share the truth and the raw of it's not all sunshine and rainbows. There are hard times. There are dips in the climb, right? So let's kind of go through that, man. What are some people, maybe there's someone watching right now that is like, you know what, I want to start building a team. What are some things some advice that maybe you give them some foresight to look out for as they start growing or building a team?
Well, I always just think like, when people ask me about starting a team, I think one of the things that people have to understand is that you have to invest into a team, right? Like you have to invest your time and you have to invest your money. And I think sometimes people just think, well, I'm a successful agent, or I got a lot of opportunities and I can just start a team. But you really have to just know that you are going to be investing financially and time-wise into this team if you really want a team that grows, right? I think we've all seen teams that have come and gone because it's either one agent or a couple of agents doing really well, and they just think, okay, let's do a team, but then they don't have a leadership, they don't have proper systems, they don't have proper people to really facilitate that growth that they need to maintain the team.
Dude, that's such a great point. Like you help remind me as a coach, being able to help people through this. Like that's thank you for that. That's super helpful. Like I think a lot of people struggle with getting the mindset right. And a lot of people I talk to want to start a team because it's the hip thing to do, right?
Right.
And so my rule is don't start a team until you have too much business yourself that you can't handle it. That's step number one, right? Like,
Right.
don't just start a team when you're selling 5 houses a year. You're not ready to start a team. You're not ready
Right.
to lead and manage other people. You don't have the systems in place. You don't have the lead generation. You don't have the things necessary to run a team correctly, in my opinion.
Right.
But I think I love that perspective shift is just like you invest in stocks or real estate or whatever. If you're going to grow a team, you got to transfer from real estate agent to business owner.
Right.
And a lot of people
100%.
struggle making that transition. And I think it's because I wrote down 3 things that you said. And I think, like, just off the cuff here, I think these 3 things are key to somebody that's maybe thinking about making the transition. And number one is leadership. You have to learn the language of leadership. Leadership has its own language, right? Just like you got to go from agent to business owner, which is a whole nother transition. You also have to go from agent that is in production yourself to leading and managing other human beings. And a lot of great business owners have said this, is that business is easy without the people, but you can't do it without them. And you have to have
Yeah.
someone to lead them, to manage them. And that's the toughest thing about business. And that's where, especially salespeople, especially real estate agents, right? It's always tough
Oh,
and it's a
yeah.
struggle. It's very rewarding, don't get me wrong, but it comes with its struggles and challenges. So I think the 3 things I wrote down are leadership, people, and systems. I think you have to have great leadership skills, or at least a path to leadership growth. Be willing to invest in your leadership knowledge, because the speed of the leader determines the pace of the pack. I know Steve well enough to know that he's at a lot of events that I'm at, and he's constantly investing and masterminding to become better himself so that he can lead other people in a better fashion. So that's step one. Number two is you got to have great people. You have to have great people that are aligned with the vision, with the mission of where you are going. And you got to have people that are in the boat paddling together, right? I think a lot of sales environments have people that are, for lack of a better term, they're greedy and they're in it for themselves. And you got to find the right people that are in it for the collective whole of what you're trying to accomplish together. And then last,
Right.
and probably least out of these 3, is systems. Like, I think you can develop systems along the way. So don't wait on the systems to be perfect to get started. If you got leadership and you got people, get started and develop the systems as you go. But as you go and you want to scale, the systems are a crucial, pivotal point for you to grow substantially once you get to a certain point.
Yeah. No, I mean, they become really key, later in the process for sure.
I mean, of those 3, which one of those like stick out most to you? Leadership, people, or systems?
I mean, my background, so my background in college was, I'm an aerospace engineer by degree. So systems has always been something I got really well, so, and that's how I climbed the corporate ladder so quickly, is I was able to get into, becoming an engineer and then just getting into the corporate world and just, using hard work and my system knowledge to kind of just climb that corporate ladder really quickly. So, by time I was, my early late 20s, I was managing $100 million projects, because I
Wow.
just had a really good systems knowledge. I just knew how things could be put together really quickly. So, and that was really weird because, I'm in the room with a lot of the people in their 50s and 60s, and, and this is obviously 28 is post recession. There's a lot of people have been laid off and they're like looking at you like, hey, why were you not let go? You're one of the young kids around here. And then they start working with me and they're like, oh, I get it. Then, before long, they're coming to me for questions. It was this kind of crazy world.
I love it, man. And I love seeing the mixture of people that have massive success in the business world, especially the real estate world.
Yeah.
Like aerospace engineer to real estate agent, right? Like that's a crazy leap when you just say it, right?
Oh yeah.
But
Oh
I
yeah.
think what you've done is you've used your knowledge and your superpower that you got in that career in that field and used it to make probably some of the best systems that you would see in a real estate team. And that's why you're able to scale no matter what's going on in the market.
100%. Yeah. That's definitely been a good resource. Something that I never thought would work, but it ends up working really well, especially, when my first couple of years of being a real estate agent sucked, right? Like it was hard. I didn't realize how hard it was. I kind of had maybe I would say maybe a little bit of an ego just because I was like, oh, aerospace engineering, graduated third in my class, climbed the corporate ladder, super successful. And no, this is going to be, I'm going to come in and be an agent and just crush it. Right. And it just crushed me essentially. I mean, I got to the point where my first winter in real estate, I actually was like trying to manage bills and stuff. And missed 2 car payments and I got my car repossessed, you know? So that was really hard to be a real estate agent and not have a car. So I like had to rent a car for like a month while I was working on getting my car back. So
Yeah, man. That's crazy. I didn't know that about you. That's crazy. I've shared my story before of struggles that I've had. And I think there's a couple of things there that you said that I think are important. And so you're not defined by your struggles, right? Like I think people like you, people that are successful, take those struggles and they hold on to them, but they don't use them to be a victim, right? They use them as a springboard to, I'm never going back to that place. I'm going to learn from that. And how can I use that for growth? And I think that happens with something that you said. And a lot of people, let's go back to the transition of being an agent to team leader, or even a small team to a medium team, or whatever, any type of growth in this business. I think step number one for most real estate agents is you have to be able to remove your ego. You have to get rid of your ego, and you have to realize it's not about you. It's about helping other people, whether that be buyers and sellers, whether that be people in your community, whether that be your agents, whatever it is. If you truly change your focus and realize that it's not about you, and you have that servant's heart and that servant's mentality, you can grow amazing things in this world, especially in this business. But it requires you to have an ego check and have that honest conversation in the mirror with yourself of, it's not about me, it's bigger than me.
right. Yeah, definitely. 100%.
Man, I love that. You said something else too, and I'm curious your thoughts on it. So you said you got to know your strengths, right? Like, and so your strengths are systems. And so what I've witnessed is that, and I've said this before, but I think this is a great phrase for real estate, great quote, is what I've found by interviewing great people like you and being in some of the rooms and around some of the great team leaders and just industry giants in this industry, that what they have in common is everybody does it differently, but it also works differently for everybody. So what I mean by that is there are no two teams that if you send them side by side that do things exactly alike, because they have different strengths, different personalities, but the people at the top, they believe in that collaboration because they remove their ego from the equation and they collaborate and they share resources and they learn from each other to continue to grow. And so I believe that some people focus on, how do I fill my weaknesses? I have to get better at my weaknesses. I believe it's better to go all in on your strengths and find great people that help fill that gap of your weaknesses. What are your thoughts on strengths versus weaknesses?
Oh yeah, no, 100%. I mean, there's no point in really focusing on your weaknesses too much because you're never going to get good at them, right? You're never going to get great at your weaknesses. So you might do a little bit better, but they're never going to be a strength. And so, yeah, really hiring people to your weaknesses is the importance. So, and I think that's where like really, I found is like finding people that specialize in different areas of the business, whether it's marketing, transactions, lead conversion, stuff like that. Like it really helps facilitate that growth and accelerates, allows you to scale your business in the right way.
100%. I love it, man. I'm curious, as a systems guy that you are, what has been the system that you put in play? It could have been early on, it could have been yesterday. In your journey, what is a system you put in play that is like, man, my strength really showed there. Like that really saved our business. That propelled us to the next level. What is the system that comes to mind that really stands out?
I mean, for me, it was like really Sisu, Sisu really helps. I mean, even to this day, I still have all the data from back, when I first started the team, which is just really crucial into just understanding kind of where we've been and where we're going. And I use it every day. I mean, I'm logged into it basically all the time. I use it to coach agents. I use it to understand like business decisions, what I need to make from marketing perspectives. Just understands financially where I'm at. So it's been really the key component in growing our business. So we use it at a really high level. And it just works.
I love it. And is that like directly integrated with your CRM, or is that something that you have to manually input? How does that work?
Yeah, we directly integrated with Follow Up Boss. So we used here in the past, it was directly integrated to that, and then now into Follow Up Boss. But we still do a lot of manual entry into it. Not so much for the agents, but like the transaction coordinators and the database managers will. So
Got it.
Getting agents to sometimes update their CSU appropriately has been a challenge.
It's not a challenge, man. Let's be real. It's impossible. So it has
Yeah.
to be directly integrated. But if you need something manual, Steve gave you the trick. Get someone that's on staff, someone that has an operation mindset, that's task oriented, and they will take care of that for you. That's
Yeah.
again, know your people, right? And hire to
Yeah.
work on your strengths. Like it wouldn't make
Yep.
sense for us to harp on the agents to be analytical. Let's go meet with people, go get transactions, right? We got the other part.
100%. Yeah. Focus on sales. You sell more
Yep.
houses. That solves the problem for me. So
That's right. That's right, man. So Sisu for the data. So what is I'm gonna dive a little deeper on that. What is like one data point that's like a super helpful metric for you and your team that has helped you with your I'm gonna try to tie into your analytical brain here. So what is like one report, one system that is like really stands out to you that's important and crucial for you to look at consistently?
So what I always like to look at is for me our appointment set to metric. I'm always
Okay.
constantly focused on that. And then really, and I'm going to that next level is like how many people are we signing to an agency agreement? So I'm really focused on the agents with that kind of work because that allows me to kind of understand like, are we having the initial conversations? Are we doing a good job at that? Are we doing everything we can to meet them? Are we providing value enough before the appointment? When we're at the appointment, are we providing enough value that they want to sign the agency agreement? If we're not, were we missing the point? Also, I want from their perspective is to understand like, is this a good person that we should even be working with moving forward? Because I want them to maximize their time in converting those people that we do get signed to close transactions. So really just focusing on that with the different levels of agents, because we have agents that are signing over 50%, and then we have agents that are signing like 20%. So I'm always like, okay, well, how do I get you up higher? Because I know 50% is possible. I know over 50% is possible, or 60, 70%. There will be people in that category. So where do we need to focus at sales wise with you to get you to that point?
Yeah. Our goal on that, we use CCO as well. Our goal is 80% met to signed. You're going to meet
That's
with them, you better get them signed, or why did you meet with them? You wasted your
yeah,
time, right?
exactly.
And not
Yep.
everyone, like there's variables, right? Not everyone can qualify or they're not ready or whatever. Like, but and we're not always on target, but there has been months, there has been quarters that we are, right? And so
Yep.
um
Yep.
I love that.
Yeah. So I do mine 80, like I require 50% from the appointment set because I don't really care if you meet them or not. I care if you sign them.
Yeah. Okay.
So sometimes we have agents that need more people, but that's just kind of I do everything off appointment set because I really want to know, like, if I give you an appointment, what is your chance of converting that appointment, whether it's met, signed, or closed?
Got it. Makes sense. I love it. And I think for those of you that are listening that are not understand Sisu is like a tracking system that tracks all the metrics, all your KPIs. And so it has like a little dashboard that shows which agent, which team, at which time frame did they set to signed in Steve's example. And so I think it's just really important, especially if you're like a team leader or even if you're an agent, you got to analyze your numbers. You got to know your numbers. If you don't measure it, you can't improve it. Right. And so I think too many agents work on accident and not enough agents work on purpose. And so what we have done inside of our business is we've created a predictable real estate model. I literally can tell you within 5%, if you do this, you will accomplish that. Right. Like it's just math. Are you willing to do this though? And it's crazy that people think that this business is risky. And I think it's the opposite. I think that people that aren't willing to bet on, for the people that aren't willing to bet on themselves, it is risky. But the people that are willing to bet on themselves, they can live a life beyond their wildest dreams. And I think being in a system like what you have created in your team and your organization, it would be probably very similar.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, it should all be predictable, right? And that's like where like my engineering brain has, just kind of was like, why do people say that? Like how can you predict real estate? How aren't you concerned about the fluctuations? And you can, but you buy into it, right? Because there's people that are leaders in the industry that will say things like that, not necessarily in our organization, but you definitely hear people say that are
Yep.
in a leadership role. And you're just like, how can you follow that person? Because that is not true.
Yeah. Yeah. It's yeah. Dude, that just a quick tangent. That reminds me of I was on a panel speaking at an event. I won't mention the event, but I was on a panel speaking at an event, a big event, and we were prepping for it, and we were talking about the change in the market and how we can use change as a catalyst in our business. And one of the questions was, how do you get through this changing market, right? 2024, there's a lot of change. What is your plan? And
Right.
one of the people shared their strategy was, well, we just got to survive until 25. And I looked at him and I said, what in the hell are you talking about? Like, you got to survive till 25? Like, by the time you look back up in 25, there's going to be people like Steve, people like me that have just passed you so far, you'll never catch up. Like, that's a terrible mentality, in my opinion, right? Like, and I'm not judging, like, to each their own. But to me, like, the competitive nature in me is like, hell yeah, that come to my market. Let's go, right? I want to compete with you.
And you know what? And the crazy thing about that, and obviously I've just been in real estate just a small segment of my life, right? But I mean, when I started the team in 2020, people were freaking out about the pandemic going on, right? In 2021, we had very little inventory, so there was excuses flying around. Then 2022, interest rates started going up, and it's like there's always these excuses. So why are people who are in leadership roles or that are consider maybe, influencers in this industry buying into that rhetoric, it just doesn't make sense.
I have a theory. I agree with you. It doesn't make sense, but I tried to analyze and understand people. And I think a lot of times, whether it's intentional or not, a lot of people say that and they speak those things out for a couple of reasons. Number one, their own insecurities of it gives them an out if they don't win. And number two, maybe some of the people that they're leading, or if they're in a leadership role, they don't want them to feel less than, or they don't want them to, they want to have them to have an out as well if they don't make it, and it's okay. And I believe in the exact opposite for myself and the people that I'm leading and the people that will join later. I just believe in honesty and transparency. And here's the work that is required. Are you willing to do it? If you are, let's fucking go. And if you're not, you probably need to find somewhere else to go work, because we believe we do shit here. We accomplish big things, and we believe in living the best life that you can possibly live for yourself. Now it's you versus you. Run your own race. But we're here to support you in becoming the best version of you. And if you don't want to be the best version of you, we're probably not the environment for you.
Right. No, exactly. And so, I mean, it almost excites me, right? Like, it almost like gets me excited.
Yeah.
Like there's like blood in the water, and it's like,
yes, sir.
Like, all right, like it's time to, level up, right? Like that's what I'm thinking about right now.
100% is like, how can I, dude, I just had to stay to the company with my team yesterday, and I've never been more excited. I've not had the feeling I have right now going into 2024 since 2018. And that year we went from 220 transactions to 560, right? Like I had that feeling then that I have now. Like I'm with you. While everyone else is like, la-di-da, what's going to happen? Let's wait for this. Let's wait for that. We're taking action. And it's just an amazing feeling what happens when you're surrounded with the right people, you have the right strategy, you have the right leadership, and you're willing to do the work required, build the skills necessary. Like, the market share you will gain in a down marketplace, what everyone else is hibernating, will probably be some of the toughest things that you do. It'll be the toughest market share that you gain. But I promise you, if you gain it, you will have it for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
So put the work in now.
Completely agree.
Dude, I love it.
It's crazy. Like, I mean, like getting on like the, Facebook groups, like seeing some of the conversation going on. Like right now, more people are worried about the lawsuit happening and how it's going to affect their business. More people are worried about that Zillow bought a CRM and how that's going to impact their business. And I'm like, why are you guys focused on that? Like, that just seems something, A, you can't control, and then B, like, it doesn't help you sell any more homes. Just sell more homes.
That's right. I made a post today, man, is like, this, people overcomplicate this shit. This is easy. We're in a people business. Get belly button to belly button with more buyers and more sellers, and you will sell more real estate. Problem 100%. Solved.
Yep.
Get face to face with more people. That's it. And if it doesn't serve that, why are you focusing on it? Right. And so I say all this out of like, I'm very passionate about this, but I've seen people's lives transform inside of this industry, mine included. And I want that for other people. And I think people just sugarcoat shit too much, and they're not honest with people about what it takes and what is required if they truly want to transform their life. Like, it requires a little bit of work. It requires a little bit of grit. It will be tough times. But if you're willing to put in the work and do the things that other people aren't willing to do, you will live the life that they won't be able to live. And this industry has it. And you get a choice. You get to make excuses or you get solutions, but you can't have both. And so if you
Right.
choose excuses, don't expect the solutions or the rewards at the end.
100%.
Yeah, I love it, man. So let's go back to the data really quick. That was a cool tangent. I loved it. I love talking about that stuff. But let's go back to the data. Let's give people some value here. So I think that you and I are in some of the same rooms, and I think we would be in alignment and agreement to say that growth in organizations, whether it's an individual agent, whether it's a team leader, a broker owner, the growth comes from the gaps, right? And I think one of the things that you went through with your CISU analogy and your data and all of your background really helps you find those gaps, navigate through and analyze those gaps so that you can close those gaps and fill the holes in the bucket, so to speak, so that you can get more out of less. I think what a lot of people are shooting at the wrong target. I said this at a conference. I said, most people are worried about, they want the closings first. How do I get more sales? Which, awesome. We're in the sales business. We need more sales. But if you don't have enough sales, every single agent says, if I don't have enough sales, I need more what? I need more leads.
Yep.
But does more leads equal more sales?
No.
Not a chance. It is the skill set, it is the value, it is the offer you have to provide to those leads, the quality of those leads, the way you're able to handle the conversations of those leads to convert them that equals the closings. And so we shoot at the wrong target. It's not about getting more leads. You and I know we can double our lead flow tomorrow, but that won't double our sales.
No.
It's not about that. And when you understand that at a deep level and you're able to know your numbers and able to narrow those gaps, not only do you increase the conversion, you increase probably the mindset and the mind space of the agents because they're more productive. They're not just wasting their time calling all these people that don't want to talk to them. They're meeting with people that are really motivated to buy and sell. And it just has all kinds of positive attributes in your business, not to mention your profit margin. Right. And I just think that people focus on the wrong things. What are your thoughts on that?
No, I mean, I completely agree. And I think, even like, I hear like Brian Denny speak, and he's like, I only work with like 30 people at a time. And I'm just like, man, that guy is crushing it with working 30 people. Then I need to go back to my agents. They need to do a better job. But 100% less is more when it comes to leads. And like you said, just getting belly to belly. And if we are having an issue on you converting on those opportunities, then we have a different problem we need to talk about. It's not a lead problem.
But at least now we know it, right? Now we know the gap so we can work through it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's what's beautiful about even being able to track that, because that's where we hyper focus on is like, okay, well, let's do better at this. Let's do better at lead follow-up. Let's have better conversations in our lead follow-up. And like you said, understanding where those gaps are and just training to them. So we're I'm constantly looking through the data and just being like, okay, what, because even like, with the amount of leads we have and the amount of appointments we have, just 1% makes a huge difference. 1% increase in, met clients, signed clients, whatever, that impacts the business. So if we just like focus on how do we increase this 1 or 2%, and we just, focus that over time and time again, it's going to be even more significant. And it has nothing to do with leads, right? Like it has fully to do with just the actual conversion process through from when you originally talk to a client to when you actually close them.
100%, especially in today's marketplace, right? Like agents and I shouldn't say agents, it's not the agent's fault. But the reality is, as a coach, as a team leader, interviewing great people like you, like I get to see behind the scenes and behind the curtains. And one of the things that I see is that agents have the wrong expectations. The pandemic market, the unicorn market that the pandemic created, that we will never, ever, ever see again.
Hopefully not
normal. We may see versions that are different, but it'll never be like that ever again, right? We can go down that rabbit hole in a minute of what I think is coming if you would like. But the pandemic market, the unicorn market that the pandemic market created, set the expectations for the real estate agents that all they're supposed to work with is the people that are ready to buy and sell real estate today. And you list their house, you get 5 offers, it goes over asking price. Well, this business is pretty damn easy. The hardest thing to do was to find a buyer a house. I have a buyer pre-approved. I can't find them anything. That was the biggest issue that agents had. Like, could you imagine being a new agent and like that's the biggest problem you have? Back to where you started, right?
Right.
Back to
Yeah.
where you couldn't make your car payment. Like if that was your problem,
Yeah.
see, but it's perspective and it's experience and it's really understanding that we only remember what happened recently. And if agents can get rid of that short-term memory and realize the market we have now is way more normal than the market we had 2 years ago. I'm going to say that again. The market we're in now is way closer to normal than 2 years ago market. And so maybe not normal is the right word, typical. Typical is probably a better word. And I think agents have the wrong expectations. And if they would reset those expectations and realize this business has always been follow-up, it has always been nurture, it has always been build relationships with people and get belly to belly, provide value, and you will win. It's not just a numbers game of like I answered the phone at the right time.
Yeah, and I don't know why, going back and looking at like that pandemic market, right? That post-pandemic market, like this market's better. Like you can be more efficient with your time. Like who wants to go back to like having to make, where there's 20 offers on a property and you have to, basically go, well over asking, appraisal gap, no repairs, whatever, buying as is. Like who wants to go back to that? I'd rather go back to where we can find a house for the actual person that they really like, because we do have more options for them on the market and we're not getting into that, rush and having to make quick decisions. And I can then write one offer, show a client a house like 5 times, 5 different houses. I know we can get one of them because it's not a crazy market. Like it just seems to me like I would much rather work in this market than that market.
100%, man. Same. But again, it's not the agent's fault. It's expectations were set. And what they expect now is what it was. And when things change, the hardest thing for a human being to do is to change. And that's one of the struggles that we have as leaders, right? Is to helping facilitate change for our people. And so I just think having those expectations, like if you forget everything you know about the real estate market, and I told you, you can make, as an example, to be an agent on our team, our standards, you sell 20 homes a year, right? So that is our standard. Right. If you do that, we've broken it down to a predictable model. You have 5 conversations per day. Can you have 5 conversations with someone about real estate per day? And if you do that, you will make over 6 figures. Our average median income in our area is like $32,000. You will make 4 times the average median income if you have 5 conversations with someone about real estate today. Do you know how many agents on our team don't have 5 conversations a day?
How many?
The majority of them. I say it with love, and I hope they hear it because they know that I love them to death. But if they would just do that a little bit more consistently over a period of time, they would have everything that they ever dreamed of. And that's what I want for them. And so I hope this is a wake-up call for agents, is that if you really just simplify it, you need to get face-to-face with more buyers, with more sellers, have great conversations, build your skill set along the way, and learn how to convert leads at a higher level. And this business isn't difficult. It is very simple. It just isn't easy. And so quit overcomplicating it. Keep it simple.
Yep. 100% agree.
Man, I want to break down, I have a little insight of your journey. One of the things that I know that you excel at, one of the many, is your ISAa department. And so let's break down your ISAa department. Maybe let's start with some of I'm assuming it hasn't always been sunshine and rainbows. There's probably been some difficult times. But before we talk about those difficult times, how many appointments per month roughly are your ISAs setting right now?
250 appointments per month.
That's amazing, man.
Yeah, it's been
like, I don't know if you realize how amazing that is, but that is phenomenal.
Yeah, it's been wild, right? So, and we just brought on a few more. So like when the only, everyone else is pulling back and we're like, hey, let's double down on some ISAs. So
I love it.
So we brought in 3 more ISAs to train over the winter, obviously get some more deals over the winter, but then also be in a position to grab all those opportunities when the spring pops up.
I love it, man. So let's talk about the challenges when you were starting an ISAa department. What did that look like?
I mean, so many challenges. So a lot of it is like you're just, even to this day, I will say that there's not really a good resource to go and figure out ISAs. I mean, there's definitely different coaching programs out there, and I've taken about all of them to kind of try to figure it out, but there still wasn't like a turnkey solution. I think a lot of it goes to the differences, like you talked about earlier, like our strengths as a leader, the differences in our individual markets, and obviously the individuals of the people that we have in our team. I think there's just so much that goes into play that I think it's hard to create a turnkey solution for people and really just expect in bad expectations. So, and it goes back into, what I had to learn the hard way is that when I bring on an ISA, is like I really have to know it's an investment the first 6 months. Like I'm investing in that person because I'm not going to get the return that I want in the first 6 months. But if they stay the course and we keep making the progress throughout, through those months, and we have kind of milestones that they need to hit to kind of maintain employment necessary, to say, then I know that we're going to really see that past the 6 months. And really, if we get past the first year, then we're really going to see a huge return on that investment. So really just, it's, the first year I started the ISAs in 2021. I probably hired 13 ISAs and ended over that course of the year and ended the year with 2, so there's a lot of money spent, a lot of money burnt, figuring out what not to do. So really had to figure it out the hard way. Obviously you're just trying to figure it out as a business owner too, because I'm still pretty new in the business owner journey about hiring and expectations and leadership. So just kind of going through all those kind of strategies, and that as well, just obviously lead conversion and follow up and all that as well. So
Yeah, man.
And then obviously at that point too, we were handing off a lot of appointments to the agents, because even then we were kicking out a good amount of appointments, but we didn't have enough agents for those appointments to handle. So, which was a good problem to have. That helped with recruiting later, but obviously it creates some frustration from the ISAs because they get paid only if the deal closes. So they were getting frustrated because they're like, well, the agents are not even following up with the lead and just going through all those struggles as well.
Yeah. I mean, I feel those pains of ISA department. I've had one. Here's my ISA journey. I didn't have the time or capacity to build it. I knew how hard it was going to be. And so I thought, well, let me just outsource it. There's people that I can just plug and play. It didn't work, right? It wasted a lot of time, a lot of money, made a lot of agents mad on my team, made a lot of people in my database mad. It was mismanaged, partially by me. And it just did not work. So I said, well, if I do this ISA thing, I need them in house, right? And so let me just find people. And it's been a journey, man. We've went through them. We got rid of them completely. We had up to 3 at one point. That was working okay, not great, but it was okay. And then we were just trying to take that next step and never could. And then it's like you said, I think a big struggle that a lot of people have with that journey is the expectations from the ISAs and the agents being in alignment and realizing we're on the same team, right? We have the same goal. And so let's work together. And what is my role? What is my role? And working through that potential conflict that could exist, I think is a huge part of the journey as well. But right now, so we stopped for a whole year. I said, I'm not doing ISAs. It's not working. I don't have the time. I'm not doing it. And now we have 2 ISAs. We got job ads going for ISAs again. So it's I'm kind of like Steve's thought process is that I believe this market is going to do some wild things coming up soon. And I want to make sure that I'm prepared to take advantage of those things from my team and the people that believe in me. And so as a leader, I'm getting all my ducks in a row to be prepared that if something similar to the pandemic market happens again and all this pent up demand starts to come to the market, I want to be the one that owns it.
100%. Yeah, that's the focus. I mean, we're really focused on hitting 400 appointments per month next year. I mean, that's really our big metric kind of going into knowing where we want to take our business, which is, getting over 1,000 transactions next year. So really just making sure we have the resources to make sure that can happen.
I love it, man. I love it. I want to talk about your journey, your story a little more. And I think this one will hit close to you is, I would be willing to bet you would say that something that has helped you during this growth has been some of the ancillary services that you've added. It's probably added some headache and some struggle, but I think it's been massively successful too. So do you want to talk about someone that's looking to maybe get some ancillary services such as mortgage? I know that you're pretty big in that by now. How has that process and journey worked for you?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like you said, it has been a struggle, right? There's definitely parts where I'm like, oh my gosh, am I doing the right thing? So originally, like, we've been big by, like, obviously, like, I kind of background online lead generation. That was kind of my background into, growing my business. So we've always been heavy buyers, obviously now nicely, finally we're getting more on the listing side, but, like last year we're 80-20 buyers. This year we're like 70-30 buyers. So still very heavy on the buyer side, but ticking down. But one of the complaints that I had, from running the ISA department from, originally is like we would send all these leads to get pre-qualified and then they would just fall off the map,
Yeah.
because I had no control over it. And that really bothered me because I'm over here spending all these resources, all this time, all this money. And yes, I could get co-marketing back for those, but the co-marketing only just covers the actual marketing. It's not going to cover the actual profitability that I can use for the real estate team. So it wasn't ever really about making money in the mortgage world, which it obviously turned into that, but it was more just having that control over their part of the lead conversion piece, so it definitely has had its struggles, right? Like, it's one of those things, like, again, with the ISA department, like I spent like 6 months, like you said, like I spent 6 months in the ISA department working almost every day to
Yeah.
get that figured out, right? Same thing with the mortgages. I almost spent probably 6 months in the mortgage department, just understanding, because it was a new world for me, like what the struggles were on that side of the business. So I definitely understand it better now, but having kind of where our lenders now are really our partners with our team, and they're really tied into, like, they want to make sure they get in front of these people. They want to make sure they get them pre-qualify. They want to make sure they follow up with them. They want to make sure if they don't qualify, like, what can we do to get them qualified in the future? Because it's maybe not right now, but we want to happen at some point because they want it to happen at some point. So really just building out those processes to make that happen has been very rewarding in terms of, like, it has allowed us to accelerate growth on the team. And then obviously it has allowed me to make a profit on the mortgage side, which is obviously, nice to have, especially going into a market where I want to take a little bit more risk, I would say, so it allows me to take a little bit more risk on some of the things I want to do because I know that there's profitability over there that I can pass off on.
I love it. It almost, I hate to use this word, I think is overused, but it somewhat helps insulate you from the changes in the marketplace, right?
Yeah,
When you have a
100%.
sound business that is consistent, that is there, and you also have an ancillary that is vertically integrated with that consistent business, it sort of helps make it easier through tough times, right?
Right. And again, it allows us to hit leads from two different perspectives too. Like,
Yeah.
so allows leads to be hit from a mortgage perspective. And again, like, I would say about 33% of our business from the mortgage side is not tied to my real estate business. It's either other real estate agents, it's other real estate agents in our market that are selling those homes that they bring the deal to because our loan partner or our loan officers, they go out and create relationships with other agents, right? Outside of our team. So that's also nice to getting paid on those deals. But what's been really nice is, what's going to be really nice is, I guess what's really nice in the mortgage world right now is no one is investing in the mortgage world. Like, all the mortgage companies, like, they're hurting hardcore, right? So because they've been so fat and happy. I mean, real estate company. We think real estate companies got fat and happy during that, but the mortgage companies really got fat and happy. And so, right now they're predicting that 2021 was the peak loan officers, but the number of loan officers in 2024 is going to be half of that number. So
Wow.
there's so much more opportunity to go grab business on that side and then hopefully facilitate the growth, facilitate that over to the real estate team or use it to attract more agents to our team. So, we're just kind of use it as like this kind of like, we can just create more growth, from both sides of the spectrum.
Dude, I love it. And I think I love too that the reason that you did it wasn't for the money. You did it so you can help more people. You can convert more of the leads, provide more opportunity for your agents, and give the clients a better experience, right? We all have worked with there's lots of great loan officers out there, but we've all worked with loan officers that are probably some of that half that are going to be out of the business, right? Just because they don't understand urgency, customer service, et cetera. And I think being able to own that experience is crucial.
Yeah. And a lot of the loan officers we worked with before starting, I mean, they were great. The problem is like when you give them so many opportunities, it's just human nature to cherry pick the good opportunities, right? Because they only can work with so many people, and they're not going to tell you no, we can't work with people, right? Like, so they're just going to keep taking, more applications and then just cherry pick them, and then really, if you're not tracking it on a very, high level basis on really what's going over there, what's being converted, what's not being converted, then you can really be missing out on opportunities that your team should have had because your loan officer is not doing their job.
Yeah.
And not necessarily because not necessarily their fault. They just don't have the bandwidth, right? They just don't have the bandwidth to handle that. And especially when you're doing, like your team, my team doing a lot of buy side deals, it's a lot. It really is.
I love it, man. Dude, we need to wrap this up. I got a hard stop here for another meeting, but man, this has been great. Appreciate your time. Appreciate you sharing as always. If you have one tip right now for our audience and either real estate leader, real estate agent, what would be that biggest piece of advice that you would leave them with?
Man, that's a tough question. I mean, really, it's just pick up the phone and make the calls, like, let's get out of, like, we've got lazy with the texting the post pandemic, but let's just pick up the phone and have the conversations. People are more nervous now because they're getting a lot of, they're hearing a lot of stuff on the news and in the media about like how the real estate market's not great, but we just really need to be having an honest conversation about them. Like, hey, that's not the actual what's happening. It's a great time to buy. It's a great time to sell. It's a great time to be an agent.
Dude, I love it. I love it. Awesome. Well, Steve, thank you so much for your time. If someone wants to reach out to you or to connect, what's the best way for them to find you?
Just Facebook, Stephen Myers on Facebook. That's usually where I do most of my stuff on there. So I'm still old school, I guess.
We didn't even talk about what's the name of your team. You're in Wichita, Kansas. What's the name of your real estate team?
Urban Cool Homes.
Urban Cool Homes. 550 closings this year. What'd you say next year? 1,000?
We're shooting for 1,000. Yeah. I gotta catch you.
Best of luck, my friend. And thank you so much. And guys, thank you so much for listening. It's been a pleasure. As always, this is a passion project. I do this to give back to this industry. Has given so much to me and my family. So all that I ask is if you found value from this episode, share this with a friend. This is a message that other people need to share. This is a movement to give back to this industry. We don't want the right people to get out of this industry because they don't have the right information. And so that is our goal. So share this with a friend, and we will see you guys next time.